Hello, everyone. David from Mortgage Choice. It's Tuesday, the 19th of March, and the Reserve Bank announced this afternoon that they're leaving interest rates on hold for the third time in a row. We haven't seen interest rates increase since last November, and it's unlikely that we'll see rates change for the next 3 to 4 months. The expectation is that the Reserve Bank will leave rates on hold for an extended period of time as they wait to see what happens with inflation and the economy at large. There are signs that the economy is struggling, and we'll talk through that a little bit in the Reserve Bank announcement. I won't spend too much time on this because I wanted to get into some calculators and show you how we can potentially save a bit each month. Now, a key point here, or some key points, inflation continues to moderate but remains high. What they want is for inflation to be at between 2 and 3% growth year on year. And right now we're sitting at 3.4%. So we're not far off their target goal. We're also seeing some signs in the economy that spending is slowing down. It says the economic outlook remains uncertain. The December quarter shows slowed growth in spending. Household consumption also remains weak, and high inflation has increased interest rates. And obviously, we've got less money to spend and put into the economy. So all of these things suggest that we will soon see interest rates come down. Don't get too excited, though, about rates coming down, because if they do start to decrease to the middle to latter part of this year, they're not going to come down quickly. At least I wouldn't expect them to. So maybe 1 or 2 rate drops by the end of the year before they put things on hold again and wait and see what happens in the economy. Let's get over to some calculators. I just want to run you through a couple of calculators to show you what a difference we've seen over the last 2 years in terms of repayments. So if we have a average $600,000 home loan, and back in May of 2022, before the interest rate started to increase, we were sitting at around 2% for a variable rate. So $2,200 per month was your cost. Now, interest rates today are sitting at about 6.2% on average. So $36.75 per month, which is an increase of $14.57 per month. That's $1,500 more per month that you're putting into your mortgage that you were compared to 2 years ago. Extrapolate that over a full year, we're looking at $18,000, I believe, in money that's not going into the economy, or it's not going into your own personal savings. So while we aren't seeing a lot of clients going into arrears right now, what we are seeing is a massive reduction in the amount of savings that they've got available. And eventually, once savings completely expires, then we'll start to see a fair bit more strain in the marketplace. And that's going to be the challenge for the Reserve Bank, is to, how long do they keep interest rates this high before putting too much stress on families and seeing people having to sell under duress because they just run out of savings and they can't manage the payments anymore. Now, to try and improve cash flow, we'll talk about a couple of things. One, for all of our investors out there, the majority of investors in 2021 and 2022 were looking to fix interest rates. Interest rates were amazingly low at the time, and so they were locking in their rates. And when you locked in your rates, you also had to lock in your interest-only period to tie in with your fixed rate. So if you took a 2-year fixed rate or a 3-year fixed rate, it meant that your interest-only period was that same amount of time. And that means that as we see clients coming off fixed rates, they're also coming off their interest-only periods. And so I just want to show you the difference between a principal and interest repayment and an interest-only repayment. So in this situation, we've got a $600,000 investment loan. If it's a principal and interest repayment at 6.35%, you're paying about $3,700 per month. If we switch that back over to an investment interest-only loan, you're going to pay a slightly higher interest rate because it's an interest-only loan, but you've got a drastically reduced repayment, which is going to save you close to $500 per month. Now, especially those investors that have multiple home loans, the savings in cash flow could be substantial. If we could just get you back onto an interest-only loan, then a lot more cash available for you each month. The downside with switching from principal and interest repayments to interest-only repayments is that we have to go back to the bank and essentially reapply. So it's a full application to the bank to prove that we can afford the loan based on the current interest rates, and that we can also afford the loan with an extended interest-only period. All right, so it's a full application that we've got to go through. But again, savings is substantial. The last thing I wanted to talk about is debt consolidations. We're starting to talk a lot about debt consolidations over the last 3 or 4 months. They've been quite popular, and mainly because clients are struggling with higher interest rates and they want to find any way that they can to improve their cash flow position. So in this scenario, we've got a home loan sitting at $550,000 with a repayment of $3,500. We've got a $40,000 car loan, roughly $10,000 in credit cards. So a total of $600,000 of debt. And if we left things as they are, clients are paying roughly $5,000 per month, so $4,900 per month. If we consolidate that loan or consolidate all of those debts into one home loan, refinance it to a lower interest rate if possible, and spread that debt back out over 30 years to give yourself a smaller required repayment. Repayments $3,675, and we're saving $1,225 per month just by consolidating those debts. Now, a lot of you are thinking, hold on a second, that's great math, David, but we're taking a car loan that's normally over 4 or 5 years, and we're spreading it out over 30 years. And this is certainly not the best financial strategy if we're looking to get debts paid off quickly, right? We want to be quite aggressive with any debt that we've got if we're trying to get things paid off quickly. This is more for clients that have cash flow issues, that are currently struggling with the higher interest rates, or struggling because they've got potentially they've got children, young children, and maybe reduced hours at work to look after the kids, or we've got expenses because of children, school fees, childcare expenses. Depending on the life stage that you're in, your focus may not be debt reduction, your focus may be cash flow. And if that's the case, then a debt consolidation is a fantastic opportunity to save a bit of cash each month and to get yourself back under control while we wait for these interest rates to come down a little bit. All right, so there's just some examples there of ways that we can improve cash flow. Next month, I'll get into some discussions on first home buyer benefits. And there are a couple of really great benefits for first home buyers right now. And we'll also start to talk about using equity in your existing home to help purchase an investment property. Because over the last few months, we've seen a massive increase in the number of clients purchasing, both for first home buyers and for investors. They both come on quite strong. So all the best. If you've got any questions, obviously reach out to us. We'd love to have a chat. And yeah, we'll speak to you next time. Thank you.